OK, one more tune and then we talk to our listed Londoner. And we're going to play a tune by our listed Londoner because she's a singer. She's also an actor, a writer, an artist, an activist, a woman of many talents indeed. And she's about to become a listed Londoner. She's called Collette Cooper and this is by her and it's called Tomorrow May Be My Last.
Had to fly manifest. Ooh. And so my heart split to Frisco, freedom from my past. Oh yes indeed. Oh mama, all dreams come true. If only in my dreams. Tomorrow may be my last. Tomorrow may be my last. Daddy, please forgive me for giving up this fight. Whoa, I'm flying like a butterfly. The stars look bright tonight. Oh, yes, indeed. Mama, all dreams come true. If only in my dreams. Oh, yeah. Tomorrow may be my last. Tomorrow may be my last. No, I'm in the fast lane. Burning out means no more pain. No, 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 you can't forget your now. Worry about tomorrow with this time. This time I borrow. Ooh, this time I borrow. Oh, mama, you always said my head's up in the clouds. And now I'm up there with the stars. I hope I make you proud. Oh, mama, all dreams come true. If only in my dreams. Wow, yeah. Tomorrow may be my last. 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 Tomorrow may be my last.
So that's the sound of the person who is our listed Londoner today. And I've run through some of her talents. She's singer, songwriter, author, actor, activist, artist, and about to be listed Londoner. And we just heard her singing there, and that's Collette Cooper. Collette, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Robert. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you very, very much for coming in. And you do a lot of different things, don't you?
I do, yes. I do. I like doing different things.
Yeah, so if I was to say to you,
Yeah.
right, what do you do? What would you say?
Oh, do you know what? I'd say jack of all trades, master of none.
I know the feeling
Do you know
of
what
it.
I mean? I say, well, I hate it. When I say I hate it, I don't hate it. But you know when people say, oh, I'm an artist, because it does sound a little bit pretentious. But I guess that's what I am in the sense that I'm not just, I like to act, I like to sing, I like to do art, I like to write. So I guess that's what I am, really.
And the song that we just heard, which was Tomorrow May Be My Last, also takes you into your writing and acting, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Tell us about the show.
Okay, so the show is called Tomorrow May Be My Last. It's the life story of Janis Joplin.
Right.
And so it's set in a Woodstock Vibe festival and backstage in her dressing room. And it tells her story, a turbulent life, and which can be, it's, you know, part of it's quite traumatic, but it's also a very uplifting play. There's a lot of audience interaction.
And did you write this?
I did write it, yes. Yeah, I wrote it.
And you star in it?
I do star. Yeah, I star in it.
Did you design the set?
I did. I designed the set as well, Robert, because, you know, we were doing it in Fringe Theatre. We did the Old Red Lion.
Yeah.
And when you do Fringe Theatre, you've got to kind of do all muck in and, you know, do as much as you can. And we didn't have a set designer. And I thought, well, I could do this myself. So, you know, just borrowed and, you know, stolen stuff from our flat and made this set. But we had a great costume designer on board. She made all the costumes, Amanda. And
was it a one-woman show?
It was a one-woman show. A one-woman show in the sense that, yes, because it's, you know, she talks to her Southern Comfort bottle, but the band, who are extremely essential to the plot, it's a three-piece band, incredible musicians.
Right.
So when she's in her dressing room, you know, it's all about her, and she's telling a story and all about her life. And then when it's out in the festival, the vibe, it's with the band and it's audience interaction. So, and it takes a lot of people to make a one-woman show. So, but on stage, yeah, it's me most of the time.
And is it still on?
It's we've just finished 3 months
Right.
at the Old Red Lion in
Wow.
Angel. I know it was absolutely brilliant, and we're on at the Riverside Studios next March for 8 weeks.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, which came first of all these many talents, do you reckon? I mean, you're originally from Manchester.
Yes.
So, what did you start out doing?
Well, I think, do you know, I've always liked to sing. I come from, my brother's a singer, my dad
Right.
loved to sing, my mum loved to sing. My dad bought me some keyboards when I was about 9, so I like to play around on that. But I'm by no means a great pianist, by the way. I can do a little, so don't get me on that piano in a bit. I can do a little bit of tinkling around. And so that kind of started me off, and I guess I just love to entertain. And then at school, you know, I was in school plays, school musicals, and then went to college, and I used to do a lot of sort of busking with me and my friend Melissa to make a bit of money. And then I formed a theatre company. I was part of a group forming a theatre company when I was about 16. So I guess it's hard to say. So yeah, I was doing both, I think, really.
And also, I mean, you take part in art projects as well, don't you?
I do. Again, I'm not great at that, I'll be honest.
It's all right, no, mine.
Yeah, I do. I do like to do a bit of a sort of. I like to create stuff. So I've done a few exhibitions, which is nice, and I am going to be doing another one next year.
Now, I mentioned that you started out in Manchester. When did you first come down to London?
You know, do you know what, Robert? I think I first came to London when I was about 17, and I was always back and forth because, you know, I lived in New Zealand for a while. I travelled a lot. So I started, when I was about 17, I was popping in and out of London because I had friends here.
Yeah.
And then eventually, I resided here because I love London. I mean, this is, you know, I've still got my northern accent, and I'll keep that. But
My
I am a
wife's
Londoner
Mancunian,
now.
so I can spot a Mancunian accent usually.
Yeah, but I love London. London's a great, great city.
And in terms of you spending your time here,
Yeah.
how do you work? Where do you work? Do you have a studio? Do you work from home? What's kind of...
Work from home. Everything I do, I just work from home. Yeah, I can't afford a studio.
Who can these days?
Who
Well,
can?
that's one of the big
Yeah.
problems for creatives of all kinds in London, isn't it?
That's so true, yeah. But working from home, you know, I just get my laptop out or whatever I do, just find a little space to make stuff. Or, yeah, I guess I've always worked from home. Just sit on my own in the corner with a book. And a
Okay,
pen.
so this is your city, and that's what we're going to be discussing with you in a bit. The whole Janis Joplin thing, is that a long-term kind of passion, would you say?
Well, you know, it's funny you should say that because I'm a singer, and kind of, you know, I'm influenced by blues and jazz. I'm no means a jazz singer or a blues singer. I'm influenced by that, and I used to get a lot of comparisons to Janis Joplin, and I didn't really
Know very much about
I didn't
her,
know
but-
much about her. I'd heard of her, obviously.
Yeah.
And I really, in fact, I remember at the time thinking, oh, why don't they say Billie Holiday? Why do you keep saying Janis Joplin? I was a little bit like, oh. Anyway, oh. But so, and I just kept getting all these comparisons. So, and then this producer, I was doing a gig at the 100 Club, and this producer who produced all big West End shows said to me, he came to the show and he said, you should play Janis Joplin. And I thought, do you know what? I really want to combine my acting with my singing, but not a musical as we know it.
Yeah.
So I started doing research on her, and I thought, blimey, actually...
Fascinating character, tragic one as well.
Tragic.
In
but
all sorts of ways.
So tragic, very sad, died at, 27. But I did see the similarities. I thought, yeah, I can get it. I get why people say this. So I started doing all the research, read every book, watched every documentary, grew my hair because I had a little bob. I used to have a little bob.
Right.
And I put on a bit of weight because she was beautiful and voluptuous, and I was this little skinny thing. And then I kind of wanted to mould into her, and I wrote the show, and yeah, and that was it.
Right. Well, the show, as you've heard, can be seen again coming up soon.
Yeah.
And we're going to be finding out more about your London after this.
Thank you.
BBC Radio London.
So this is what you call a smelly situation.
Well, something stinks down here. Yes.
Your London and your life.
Were you smirking when we were talking about dogs communicating in their afterlife or not?
I might have been, yes.
Do you know what? I love the first story you're starting with. How often people say, where were you when this happened? And everybody talks about it.
BBC Radio
To
London.
me, London's where I live. It's the best city in the world. Makes my hair stand on end.
News, information, and a place to talk.
It's quite funny that because while that was on, we were discussing Janis Joplin, and I was saying that she shouts. She's a bit of a shouter.
Yeah,
for
definitely.
me.
She was a bit of a screamer, a bit of
Yeah.
a shouter, and
that must be tough on your throat if you got
well,
to do
you
that.
see, I didn't do a lot of that because there was just no way. Doing a show every single night for 3 months, it would be impossible. It was like a marathon. Janis Joplin couldn't have done that every single night, because you'd just wreck your voice. So I had to find ways of not doing that. And it's a shame because I found that was one thing about Janis when she sang, when she did scream and shout. I thought, you don't need to do that because when you didn't do it, she sounded amazing.
She had a great voice.
She had a great voice. And I don't know why she did a bit of screaming and shouting. Maybe it's excitement, I'm not sure.
And I think it was also just the times as well,
Yeah,
wasn't it? It
yeah.
was sort of part of that whole kind of
Yeah.
era, if you like. Okay, so that's what you've been doing, and we'll come back to
Thank
all of
you.
that. But we're going to start now with these questions.
Right.
We know that you're an adopted Londoner.
Yep.
What bit of town would you pick as your favourite? What's your favourite neighbourhood?
I would say Southend Green.
Which many people might not know, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I'm a North Londoner, so I
Yeah.
know that bit of the world. But so you'll have to explain it.
Okay, so Southend Green, basically North London, and it's it's the village right on Hampstead Heath.
Right.
So the overground is Hampstead Heath Overground. The nearest tube station, I guess, would be Belsize Park. So it's next to Belsize Park. It's next to Hampstead. It's this little village in between. But what I love about Southend Green is that it's a real mixture of people.
It always used to be thought of as the sort of the poorer bit of Hampstead,
Exactly,
if you like.
but that's why I like it.
Yeah.
Because there's all mix of class, all mix of cultures. It's a mixture of people, and that's what I like. It's diverse, and I love that. And but it's got great little restaurants, great little bars, and you've got the Heath, and there's a real community there.
Is there still?
Yeah, it's lovely. All people in the shops, everyone knows each other. It's really nice. Lots of dogs around. I have a dog, and it's just right on the Heath. It's just beautiful. I love it.
Okay, so Southend Green is definitely your favourite neighbourhood.
Yeah.
What are you going to pick as your favourite building? Now, this could be because you like the architecture, or it could be because of what happens there. What are you going to go for?
You know what, Rob? I was really struggling with this because I love St Paul's.
Right.
But
I can see it from my window.
Oh, I know. Stop it.
I'm
It's
so
so jealous.
lucky.
So beautiful. But a building that makes me feel something has to be the Roundhouse, because I've performed there a couple of times.
Yeah.
And when you go in there, the energy, you feel like there's lots of ghosts living in the walls. You imagine all the greats who have performed there. So you feel very privileged when you go in there and think, wow, I'm performing on the same stage that David Bowie did. Doors of Rolling Stones.
Patti Smith, who I saw there recently. was
Yeah,
fantastic.
exactly. And I just absolutely... it's the feeling I get, and the history of it. I just love.
Oh, I love
that
the Roundhouse.
building.
I like it for all
love
sorts of reasons because
Yeah.
it never feels like it's it's there to make money. Do you know what I mean? It feels like it's there to put on a great night and an event of
Exactly.
whatever kind it is. Really.
Yeah, and everybody who works there, all the backstage crew are just so lovely.
And they do a lot of work as well with local kind of schools
They
and
do.
kids, because my kids
A
have
lot
all
of
grown up in
charities.
that area.
Yeah.
And, and went to local state schools in that area, and they do loads of work with local
Yeah,
kids.
it's a really kind.
It is, yeah.
institute.
No,
It's
it's a very,
kind,
very
and I love
kind
that.
institution, I agree. And it's a good-looking building as
Yeah,
well.
it's great. It's got a great history in itself with the building, with the railways. And
It used to
amazing.
be a gin factory, a gin warehouse.
Yes,
So that's no
Love
bad
it.
thing.
love that.
Let's look at the other end of the spectrum,
Oh.
though, a building that you don't like.
Well, obviously it's very impressive. Obviously, and and I can imagine the work that's gone into it, but I don't like the Shard.
Don't you?
I just find I just feel like it doesn't suit London. I'm not a big fan of real modern architect. I'm just
Right.
not. I'm just not. And I've been in the Shard, and it's great and it's impressive, but no, not really to look at.
One of the
no.
things I find about the Shard is it appears where you don't expect it to.
Yeah,
Do you know
it's
what I mean?
just
You're looking at you don't think you're looking at it, but suddenly it's over there.
That's
isn't
what I
it?
mean. It's just like it just sticks out. I feel like it's in the wrong city. It should be maybe in New York. I don't know. I don't know.
Do you go back to Manchester much?
Do you know what? I don't go back enough.
Right.
I keep saying, right, I'm going to come up in a couple of weeks to all my pals up there. I don't go back enough, but I am going to go take a trip up there in a couple of weeks. I do love Manchester. I love the people. I do.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to know Manchester because
Yeah.
obviously of my wife and her family are up there and all of that sort of stuff. And it is a fascinating city. It's very different to London. I
Very
think.
different. Very different. I like. Do you know what I like doing? I like going to the supermarkets in Manchester because you get to the checkout. And they literally talk to you like they've known you for 20 years.
It's, what,
I love that. You go.
As a Londoner, I find that
love
slightly
these
disconcerting.
I love these box of cornflakes, please. She goes, listen, did I tell you about Ian over there on checkout 5? I went, no. Well, let me tell you, because he's just split up, right, from Sarah, his girlfriend. It's very like that.
It is
and I
very like
love
that.
it. And when I've gone for like a few auditions at Granada, you walk in and it's the same at reception. Hiya, love. And you think, hiya. And I miss
Because
that.
when
I
they do
miss
that to me, I think, do I know you?
That's it, exactly. I'm like, I do know you. Do I know you? Do I know you? But I love that. And it's got such charm and great music there. Some great artists have come out of Manchester. And
They've knocked too much of it down.
Yeah.
Too much of that old Victorian heritage. Because I've known it,
Yes.
I've been with my wife 30 years.
Yeah.
And it's changed a lot in that period of time. And I think
Yeah.
they lost some of the kind of soul of the centre
yeah,
of it, really.
why have they done that?
I don't know, but they
That's
did.
very sad. It's very sad. When any city does that,
Yeah.
we need that heritage.
Absolutely. All right, let's cheer ourselves up
Yeah,
with
go
the
on.
best view in London.
The best view, well, it'd have to be every hill, really. But I'd say, because, I'm right by the hill, Parliament Hill's great. It's got a great view. Parliament Hill's got a great view of London, I think. And especially when the sun's setting, it's really, really magical. I think because of the space, I think it's really, really magical. Not as great as your view, though,
Oh,
is
it's
it?
pretty good, Parliament Hill. I'll give you that one. Do you use the Heath a lot?
Oh, do I use the Heath a lot, Robert? Every single
you're a
day.
dog
Yeah,
person.
I've got my little doggy. Every day I'm there twice a day if I can.
So I'm assuming that's going to be your favourite open space.
It is. It's my favourite open space. Yeah, I love it. The ponds, the woodlands.
I was
going
going
to
to say, if you're going to pick something as big as the Heath, you're going to
Yeah.
have to be specific.
Okay.
Right? Whereabouts? Where would you go? What's your favourite bit?
I like all around the pond areas because the smell that comes from the ponds, especially in the summer, it's just beautiful. And there's parts of the Heath when you walk down, you feel like you're in France, in the Ardèche.
Right.
You feel like you're walking to the lakes in the Ardèche. I just think it's really magical.
Do you swim?
I do swim, yeah.
Or in the ponds?
I do, yes. Do you know what I do?
Do you do it in the winter?
I do sometimes,
no.
yes. But you know what I've got though? I've got one of those long one pieces that
have
I
you?
wear because I'm a bit of scaredy cat. What's in the water?
I know,
I have seen a couple of rats in there. And
Oh,
it freaks
no,
me out. I
don't.
know. I'm sorry. It's true.
You're going to go in there and
I know,
swim.
and I'm like, and you go in there, and I think, well, if I'm all covered up, I feel a little bit better. But it's great. The minerals in there are great for you.
But people love it, don't they? The people who swim in there regularly
Love it.
absolutely adore it.
And you get to see everyone swimming in there, and it's just magical. To think of that woodlands in the middle of a city, I don't know many cities that have that. We have great parks, but to have something that's so wild and kept that way.
Do you know what? I shouldn't really admit this, but
Go on.
I get a little bit scared.
Of the Heath.
Yeah.
Go
Only
on.
well.
Go on,
Look, I'm a
why?
city boy.
Yeah.
Because you can't see the edge. Right? I could get lost.
No.
There might be big bad wolves or anything.
I know. You know what? It's true actually, because sometimes, sometimes when it starts, whenever I go do a bit of running there, and sometimes when it starts to get dark, and I'm actually in the wood area, and
Yeah.
I think. Because I get lost in a paper bag, doesn't
Yeah.
matter. And I think, where am I? It's getting dark and then you hear little noises. Yeah, it can be a bit scary.
You see, if I can see the traffic on the edge, I know that there's civilizations over there.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm stuck in the middle of this forest,
And if you don't know it, because we know it now quite well, but
yeah.
even I discover parts
I've never
every
got
day.
to know it enough because I'm too scared.
Yeah. It's not that scary.
No, I'm exaggerating slightly, but it is. But you're right though. But because it isn't like being in a park,
No.
is it at
Do you know
all?
there's snakes there and stuff?
There's
as
not.
well?
You see, you're trying to make it even
Honestly,
worse.
Do you know there's snakes? In fact, I saw one a couple of weeks ago. There's snakes there. It's bizarre.
Brilliant.
It's brilliant.
Okay, let's get back to something I'm much better at, which is
go on then.
shopping.
Right.
Are you a shopper?
Not really. No, not really.
Well, you're
I
still
don't-
going to have to pick a favourite shop.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes.
Yes.
No, I thought you meant shopping. I like going. Oh no. My favourite shop.
The most
would
sort of
have to
interesting
be-
shop or
most
whatever.
interesting shop is a vintage shop on Flask Walk in Hampstead.
Yeah.
And it's called Exclusive.
Right.
But what I love about it, it
Is
reminds.
it clothes, vintage clothes?
It's clothes, books,
Oh, okay.
records, everything.
Yeah, I know it then.
You know it. And
Yeah.
what I love about it, when I was a kid, there was a show called Mr. Ben. Do you remember Mr. Ben?
Yes.
And it reminds me of that shop where, you could put something on, you go and look at it, look in the mirror, and it transports you back wherever. And it's just got a real beautiful energy, and it's quite magical. And I love anything vintage and old. I love that. It's great.
Excellent. What's it called again?
It's called Exclusive.
In Flask Walk.
Flask Walk.
Hampstead's quite posh.
Well, and I'm not.
No,
Can
I
you
didn't want to
tell?
say that. I wasn't hinting
No,
at
this
that.
is it. Hampstead itself is quite posh. That's why I like Southend Green, because it's not posh. It's just nice. It's a good neighbourhood. Hampstead is posh, but also it's got a lot of great things about
very
it. Great
beautiful.
pubs. It's very beautiful.
It's got lovely
It's
pubs.
just very beautiful, isn't it?
Okay, pubs. You can pick a pub, bar, or a restaurant, or you can pick a pub and a restaurant, whatever you fancy.
Can I book both?
Yeah.
Oh, right. So basically, I love, again, in Southend Green, you'll
Yeah.
know this pub, Robert, the Magdala.
I
So it
know
closed
the
for a
Magdala.
while. And I love that because Chris, the guy who runs it's from Manchester.
Is he?
Yeah, he's from Manchester. He's
I haven't
great.
been in there for years, I must
Oh,
admit.
it's great. So he's just dead friendly. It's really great. All the staff,
You know,
all
it's
the
the
staff are great.
site of a famous murder.
I know. Well, Ruth Ellis.
Yes.
So she was the last woman hanged
Yeah.
in 1954, 55. And she shot her lover just outside. So there's a little park across the road, public park. Not park, what would you call it? Like a little bit of greenery
Yeah.
just across the road. And it's gated, it's really nice. And she hid there. And he messed her around. He had really messed her around.
I've seen the
fair
film.
enough. You've seen
Dancing with a
okay.
Stranger, wasn't it?
Dancing with a Stranger with Rupert Everett and
Whoever it was.
the beautiful actress, forgot her name, it'll come to me. And anyway, so she came out and he was there with his friends. He was very posh, she wasn't. And she shot him several times. And the bullet holes are still in the wall in the pub. But it's just a great pub. Great history. It's right across the road from Hampstead Overground Station. Great history, great staff, great food.
So
and really friendly.
That's the Magdala. That's your pub.
Yeah.
What about a restaurant?
Again, Southend Green, a family-run restaurant called Mimo's. It's
No,
an
I
Italian...
don't know this.
Oh, you'll love it. So the whole is great. So it's an Italian restaurant. Really
What's it called again?
Mimo's.
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 Right.
And the family runs it. Again, all lovely, dead friendly. And the food is brilliant. Really traditional,
Italian, I'm
authentic
assuming.
Italian food. And the atmosphere is just great.
Every neighbourhood should have a local sort of neighbourhood family Italian,
Yeah,
really.
and that's why I like it, because it's that community again. It's really lovely. And you sit outside there and look over the heath. It's just great.
Brilliant. Have you recorded any of the songs from the show? Well, we just heard one of them, obviously.
So that's a self-pen show. We wrote
Right.
that song specifically for the show, Tomorrow May
Right.
Be Last, and it's about her. It's
Yeah.
about Janis Joplin.
Have you recorded any of the Janis Joplin songs?
No, only that one.
Right.
Only that one. I don't really have any inspiration to record her songs because I'm playing a character.
Yeah.
I'm stepping into a character. I'm taking on this character. And then when I do my own stuff, I want to get back to being myself, So I don't want to I think that's for her. You know, there's only Janis Joplin who can do that. That's her.
All right, then.
You know.
I'm going to ask you to pick one memorable night out.
Oh my God! You know I have many, but one night was my. I'll always remember this because it was my partner's birthday.
Right.
It was back in April 2017, and we went into Soho, and we went on one of those rickshaws. I've only ever been on one twice.
Yeah.
I said, let's go on a rickshaw. First of all, we went to. I think we went to. I can't remember the pub we went to now. Sorry,
One of the
we went
pubs.
to. We went. I think we went to Black's. We went to
Right.
Black's.
Yep.
We got on a rickshaw and we were going to Joe Allen's for some food, and the rickshaw driver crashed.
Oh, no.
He crashed, Robert, into a bollard. We went flying out of the car, literally crashed. And then, but it was funny. The poor guy. We had to get him a shot of whiskey. He was like, "Oh, I'm really sorry." We got the free ride, obviously. We went to Joanne's, had some food, and then we went to one of my favourite little jazz haunts in Soho called Piano Bar Soho. In fact, I launched there Saturday nights back in 2016.
Right.
And one of my favourite singers there, Rickety Genesis, my favourite trumpeter, Andy Davis, my favourite pianist, Liam Stevens, were their trio at that time. And I play with these guys as well. And they were performing that night, and it was just
Did you get up and sing?
fantastic. I did actually, yeah. I got up and did a bit of howling after many glasses of red wine. But it was just a great night because we just had, a real special night. And
It's just lovely. When my favourite thing is when you have those nights and you don't quite expect it, and you get. I describe it as being kidnapped by the streets.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
That is a brilliant way to describe it. Yeah, we got kidnapped basically by that blooming rickshaw driver. To be honest.
Exactly, and then but you get kidnapped by Soho. It just kind of takes you over.
You can't get out of
No,
Soho.
you can't get out.
If you go for a meeting in Soho at 1 o'clock p.m., you're not coming home till 1 a.m. at least.
Absolutely.
It's great. I love Soho.
Excellent. Okay, I'm going to give you a day off. Right, you can't do any work of any kind. How would you spend it?
Well, I'd come into the radio and see Robert Elm.
That's a very nice day.
I'd have a nice cup of tea. First of all, I'll start my day off with a shot of Pow. Pow's brilliant. I've got to get you some Pow.
What's Pow?
Pow is amazing. I'm not joking. It's by Will Powders.
Right.
And you take this Pow, and all of a sudden, it's all natural, but it gives you a kick, and you feel fantastic. So you want to do everything. So then I'd go and have a Pow. Go for a nice cup of tea in the village. And in fact, it's what I'm going to do today. It's what I've done today. Nice cup of tea. Go and do a bit of reading because I don't ever get a chance to read. And I'm reading a book called The Wonder of Jazz by Sammy Stain, a great book on jazz, the history of jazz.
Right.
I love reading anything on history. And then I'd go for some lunch, walk across the heath, and go and have a bit of lunch somewhere, maybe the Spaniards. And then I'd go on a Sunday especially, I'd like to go and see probably I've always got friends who are singing jazz around somewhere.
Right.
So I'd go to see some jazz, and as it's my day off today, I'm going to the 606 Club to see Georgia Mancho, who's
I love Georgia. No, she's been on this show. She's
a
fantastic.
fantastic
She's a
jazz
lovely
singer.
woman as well.
She's a gorgeous woman.
Yeah.
And Palaman, she's at the 606 tonight. Good plug that, Georgia, by the way. So I'll be doing that, and I'd go or I'd go to the Everyman Theatre, watch a film, or watch a documentary. And I'm waiting for the Twiggy documentary to come out because I can't wait to see that. There'd be all the things that I'd love to do on my day off.
It's a very big, full day. You've done a lot.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I have. I know, that's quite a full day. I'd have to get up really early, actually, Rob. I just realised.
Right then.
Yeah.
So that's a really nice day off.
Yeah,
Now
it's a
you've
nice
got to
day.
take some people out, right? They've never been here before. Maybe they've come down from Manchester. I have no idea. Where would you take them?
Not on a rickshaw, that's for sure. But anyway, so I would take them. You know what? I love the pubs in London, so I would definitely take them to the Heath, because I would take them to the Heath, and I'd take them to all the great pubs around London, like, the Flash, the Hollybush, the Spaniards, of course, the Magdala, and I'd take them into Soho, and we'd probably go to 40 Dean Street, and we'd go to maybe, again, all the lovely, little jazz haunts. I'd try and get them to see real sort of London as opposed to, I wouldn't take them to anything touristy.
They can go to the tourist stuff themselves.
Yeah, they can do that themselves. I'd like to take them down the little back alleys, you know what I mean? And try and show them even like little villages with corner shops, because I always think people who don't live in London think London is always the city or it's always just so. They don't realise it's made up of little villages.
It is, yeah.
And you go, what? You've got a corner shop? Of course you've got a corner shop. Oh, I thought you had to go, like, you know, into the West End to get a pint of milk. No, we do have corner shops in London, you know.
They also think that we're not very friendly. Now, we're not
Yes.
we're not talkative like Mancunians.
Yeah.
We don't do that. But it is. But this is.
I've always found London friendly.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I remember, because that's what I love about East London, actually. Like, I remember going into one of the pubs in East London. Well, I can't remember, I wish I did. Yeah. And in one back street, and I went in and I thought, I wonder if they do tea here. And I said, have you got you don't do tea, do you? He goes, oh, I can do you a cup of tea, love. Of course I can. Do you want a cup of tea, love? Gave me a cup of tea. I said, how much? He goes, I'm not charging you for a cup of tea. And I thought, that is so northern. Like, that was so friendly. That was one of my first experiences of the friendliness of London. I think
never
London's
happened
dead
again
friendly.
since.
No. No.
Okay, you've got. That's all been very nice, right? We've all been singing the praises of this place, but we know occasionally it doesn't work.
Yeah.
What's the worst journey ever?
Oh my! Are you ready for this?
Yeah, go on then.
Right. It was only a few years ago. Wasn't that long ago. And basically, I'm probably the only person on the planet who can't use an Uber app. I don't know why.
I don't. Either.
I don't know how to use it.
I don't have one. I won't use one.
I don't have one. Don't use it. I was trying to. So I got this Uber. I was trying to get an Uber. Anyway, couldn't do it. Kept cancelling on me. I was like, what's this about? And I was running late and I thought, okay. Anyway, I was going to do a gig at the 100 Club. I was doing a gig at the 100 Club because I had a few bits and pieces with me. I thought, I'm going to have to get on the tube with all this luggage and all the rest of it. But I was ready and I had this cream suit on. I had this cream suit on, big high heels, and got on the tube, got on the Northern Line, and the tube was packed, actually. It was really busy. I had a nosebleed.
Oh, no.
I've never had a nosebleed.
What, just out of the blue?
In my entire life, never had a nosebleed.
And you got a cream suit on.
I had a cream suit.
And you're about to go on stage.
Yeah, didn't have any tissues.
No, of course not.
But I don't mean just a little nosebleed. It was like a tap running.
Oh my
it was
God.
horrendous. I thought I was dying. I thought I was having a brain tumour. It was this nosebleed was, and but everyone was looking at me on the tube, and I was like, "Has anybody got any tissues?" And this guy gave me a tissue that was all crunched up. He'd obviously used it. He'd been using his tissue, and I went, and nobody seemed, and they were just staring at me. And then we got stuck at a station at Goode Street. I was getting off at Tottenham Road, and we got stuck for about 15 minutes. And I had this nosebleed, and nobody had a tissue. When I got off, I thought, what am I going to do? When I got off the train, I looked like I'd been murdered. I looked like I'd been murdered, and I was walking from the dead. I thought I'm going to have to go back, so I had to get back on the tube to get changed. And inevitably, I was late for my gig. But anyway,
That is a pretty horrific.
It was horrific. Horrific. I got the blood out of my suit, though, thank the Lord.
Well, good job too.
But I was very upset, anyway.
Okay. What are you going to pick as your personal London landmark?
Abbey Road Studios.
Have you recorded there?
I have. And you know what? Again, it's that... It's the history behind it, and I just love it, and I just love the whole vibe of it, you know. I think so, yeah.
Do you like recording? As opposed to playing live, or
No, I don't actually.
Because I know that some artists really love
Yeah.
recording. Some
I don't. I'm a live performer.
Yeah.
I like being in the moment. And when I do record, I insist on recording live.
Right.
So it's all of us together.
with musicians properly.
Yeah. I don't like doing layering, but for some reason it's just feels more stagnant. I mean, I like the crack and the banter I have with the guys, but and I always think afterwards when we've done it, I could have done better than that. That could have been done better. And I think I prefer live.
Okay, but you're still having Abbey Road Studios as your personal
fabulous.
London
Yeah.
landmark. Some other northern musicians have recorded there, quite famously, of course.
Of course they have. Yeah, we won't mention any
won't
names.
mention them.
We won't mention them.
Instead, we'll mention your favourite fictional Londoner.
Don't you talk to my Phil White, he's very brave. Get out of my pub. Has to be Peggy Mitchell.
Peggy Mitchell.
Amazing.
I
love her.
Have you watched? I mean, do you follow EastEnders, or is that just?
I haven't watched. You know what? I haven't properly watched EastEnders for
No, I
ages,
haven't.
but I absolutely because I don't get a chance.
No.
You know, absolutely loved her. I don't even ever saw Jamie Winston play her. She was absolutely brilliant. That was the time probably when I did watch it.
Yeah.
She was just such
That was
a
a very
character.
good, very good impersonation.
Was that
as well.
good?
It was. I thought
That's
it
the
was
acting
good.
in me.
In terms of acting, I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, you've been doing this performance and doing all of that. Is that something you want to continue doing?
I do, but you know what? I hate going up for auditions.
Yeah.
I don't. I've come to the stage in my life where I just like to do my own thing. I just want to write and do my own stuff. I'm not, unless there's something that comes along that I think, oh, I love that character. I'd love to play that character. Then yeah, great. But in terms of a jobbing actor, going up for stuff, and that's just not for me. I just don't. I don't see I prefer to create my own stuff.
I understand that.
Yeah.
What's your favourite London film or book or play?
With Neil and I.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
Oh, it's just absolutely. We came on holiday by mistake.
I know,
I
yeah.
mean,
It's got so many.
I demand more booze. It's just absolutely brilliant. What a film. Paul McGann, Richard E. Grant.
All the performances are great, but the writing.
The
in
writing,
particular.
well, this is it. The writing. I mean, the writing is just phenomenal.
And I discovered through doing one of these, we had. I'm
Yeah.
going to forget the name now, the guy who wrote it and directed it, but whoever he was.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's all set in Camden Town.
Yeah.
So I'm not talking about where it was filmed,
Yeah.
but where it was set, because it was based on his life.
Yeah.
And I said to him, I live in Camden Town, and he said, where? And I told him, and he said, well, that was 4 doors away from where we lived when Winnan and I, the house that it was about, that it was set
Oh,
in.
you're joking.
No, the actual real place where he'd lived with the characters who became, Widnow and him. So it was set in the street that I lived in. Now, the street that I lived in by that stage had been very, quite gentrified.
Yeah.
But back in the 60s, it was a proper slum. And
just such character. Those houses had such character
and
as well.
we've sort of all been there in one way or another at some
we've
period
been,
of your life.
really scared, especially as actors.
Exactly,
I'm a trained actor reduced to a bomb. It's like as an actor, you did all the actors I've known. We've all been there, waiting for that job, waiting. Oh, too much drinking, too much of everything. It's
brilliant.
It's just a brilliant, brilliant film. Do you know what I was thinking? If they remade that, who would play Richard E. Grant? Who would play the Paul McGann?
No idea now, but you can't remake it.
You
'cause
can't
it's
remake
perfect.
it. You can't remake it.
Okay, I've got one more question,
go
and
on.
it involves time travel, right?
Yeah.
You can go backwards or forwards. You don't have to stay there. You
Yeah.
can return to the present day. Which way are you going to go, first of all?
Well, mine might be the obvious one, I guess. I think mine's probably the obvious one. I always battled, would it be the 90s in Camden, or would it be the 60s in Soho? And I think mine probably would be 60s in Soho. I just think, the 60s was so revolutionary. It was a massive turning point.
Would it have been Soho, or would it have been the King's Road and Chelsea and all of that, I suppose?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe. I still think Soho, for me. Maybe.
Okay.
But I think the 60s was just, that era was just so huge of it was just so poignant. The 60s was when it really changed, wasn't it?
Come back and tell us what it was like.
Yeah, I'd love to travel back in real life.
And tell us again when people can see the show, because it's coming back, isn't it?
Well, that'll be great. Yes, it's tomorrow, maybe my last, and it'll be on at the Riverside Studios from March for 8 weeks. So where does that lead us? 8 weeks. 27th of March for 8 weeks.
Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, thanks, Robert.
No, thank you very, very much to our listed Londoner, Collette Cooper. Collette, thank you.